Good morning and welcome to Wake Up to UND. I'm Paula Anderson, Chair of the Chamber Board. First, I would like to thank everyone for attending this virtual event. Next, I would like to thank our sponsors. Their contributions help make this event possible. The presidential level sponsors are the City of Grand Forks, Icon Architectural Group, JLG Architects, Sanford Health, and the UND Alumni Association and Foundation. Our academic level sponsors are AE2S, Alaris Financial, All True Health System, Bremer Bank, Construction Engineers, EERC, Grand Forks Region EDC, Grand Forks County, Hugo's Family Marketplace, Northland Community and Technical College, North Dakota Small Business Centers, UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences, and Xcel Energy. Our campus level sponsors are Burrian and Associates, First Community Credit Union, the Greater Grand Forks Visitors Bureau, UND Career Services, and the University Federal Credit Union. UND and the Grand Forks East Grand Forks business community have enjoyed a long history of countless partnerships. We're working together for a strong UND and community. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Chamber Board member and UND Vice President of Marketing and Communications, Melanie Linder. Melanie will serve as the moderator for today's program.
Thank you, Paula. Our theme today is New Faces, New Places, and it's my pleasure to introduce the new president of the University of North Dakota, Andy Armacost. President Armacost officially began his new role June 1st, but he spent extensive time working with us as early as January. I'm also pleased to introduce our new mayor of the city of Grand Forks, Bochenski, who happens to also be a graduate of UND. The mayor had a successful pro hockey career before returning to Grand Forks to take a position at Berkshire Hathaway. Today, we'll get to know these two new faces through a series of conversations, and we'll also learn how the university and the community are working together. But first, President Armacost will give a brief overview about the university.
Thank you, Vice President Linder. And thanks to the Chamber for putting on this special event, Wake Up UND. It's our pleasure to have one of our alums, Mayor Bochenski, join me today. This morning, we'll discuss our evolving partnership and our new roles. First, I have to say what a pleasure it has been for my wife, Kathy, and me as we've settled into UND and into Grand Forks. The welcome we've received has been enthusiastic and warm, even if it's been from a 6-foot distance. There's a real sense of excitement and newness across the campus and in the community. When you travel up and down University Avenue, you'll see new construction and renovation. The same thing is happening in downtown Grand Forks. We know from past experience, the physical appearance of our campus and community is important. When potential students and their families visit us, and they feel that collegiate spirit, it can have a positive impact on enrollment. This year, the number of students from other schools who transferred to UND has increased. We have more graduate students this year. We also know that some students who attend UND find jobs in our community after graduation. They become transplants, just like the mayor. We're also thrilled to welcome 200 new staff members and 86 new faculty members this year. We've added 28 new programs and the world's first PhD program in Indigenous health. Here are a number of first impressions that have stood out since our arrival. Our alumni family continues to impress me. Their generosity closed our fiscal year with an unprecedented commitment of $80.1 million. This is a new record. Nearly $300,000 in scholarships helped some of our students who had critical needs because of the pandemic. And this year, we're welcoming the most diverse and academically prepared freshman class in the school's history. Their GPA is 3.54, the highest ever. Our graduation rates are increasing. This fall has been the highest among those who identify as American Indian, Alaska Natives, and African American. On our first day of class, we saw an 18.4% increase in online enrollment. We attribute this in part to people who are non-traditional students and working professionals who benefit from our flexible format. Finally, let me talk to you about passion. We've met so many people who share the same passion for UND. We've come across them in all walks of life: students, faculty, staff, alumni, members of the community and area businesses. All of them express this unbridled devotion to UND. Kathy and I are thrilled to be here, and we share your commitment. Your passion drives our university, and we're excited to get to know all of you. And Mayor, I know you're passionate about UND. Tell us why this place and this community are so special for you and for your family.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me in here today. I always love coming back on campus. I would say the passion for me really began that first day when I stepped on the ice and fought tooth and nail to represent this community, to represent the green and white on the ice. And that passion has really continued today. This is a very family-friendly community that's a very safe and welcoming place. Your kids can go walk to the park 4 blocks away and you don't have any worries. You just know that they're going to enjoy themselves and come back. I think this community has a real strong faith in God and a real strong belief in individual freedom and individual responsibility, and that's always been a passion of mine and a reason that I love this community.
All right. Well, this part of our conversation is going to be the getting to know you. And Andy, we're going to start with you. This new faces, new places, and you and Kathy are new to our community, and we're thrilled that you accepted the position of president. Can you tell us what appealed to you about Grand Forks and the UND presidency?
Well, any opportunity to come to a great university like UND is a real thrill for anyone, and to be able to lead it and lead its important mission. So if you think about what UND stands for, the values that represent the state of North Dakota, the opportunity to create new leaders for the state of North Dakota and also for the nation. And so that mission is so important. And we do it through great education programs, great extracurricular programs. And there's just this real connection and a commitment by the faculty and staff to make sure that each one of our students really benefits from all they experience here. And it's a real exciting opportunity to lead. In addition, North Dakota just is a remarkable place. The friendliness, the warmth, and just the great connections across the state. You know, I've seen it in my first months in this position, just people willing to reach out, to share their opinions and to share their ideas. It's really a close-knit state, it's a close-knit community, and Grand Forks is going to be a great home for the Armacosts. So, and then, you know, Brandon, how about you? We both come to Grand Forks as well. From other places, you from the Twin Cities. I mean, what has it meant for you to come to Grand Forks? And you had other options as well. So what led you to UND and to this community?
Well, certainly growing up in the Twin Cities, I knew I was never going to become a Gopher. That's the first, definitely the first part. I had, you know, after high school, I went down to Lincoln, Nebraska, and played in the USHL for a great coach down there, Steve Johnson, who was a former alum, you know, part of that great line back in '87. And he really, you know, kind of guided me and told me about what Grand Forks is really all about. I had scholarship offers all over the country, but on my visit here, getting an opportunity to springboard my career with an amazing coach in Dean Blaze and the brand new Ralph Engelstad Arena just made it too much to not say no. And on top of that, I got to have assistant coaches in Dave Haxtell and Brad Berry. So it's really some top-notch men that really guided my path as a young man.
But you made this decision twice to come to Grand Forks, right? So after your extensive professional hockey career, you made a choice to come back to Grand Forks. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I guess, and if you really add it up, it was probably 3 times. I think I'm one of the few professional athletes to leave school early twice to go back and play, because I had a year in the middle where I came back to classes and then went back. But I think just the way the community had treated me, I really wanted to get back and finish my degree. And the way the community had gotten behind me and the fond memories I had of those 3 years. And then, of course, my wife being from the area might have had a little something to do with it.
Yeah. And now you're the mayor.
Yeah.
So tell me about the transition into City Hall. I mean, that's a very big step for you.
Well, it's been extremely fast-paced. I've been very, very excited. You know, coming from a sports background, you're always very well prepared. And, you know, I was prepared to take over the role. We're coming up on 100 days now. Right when we got in, we had to get through the budget. We were able to do a property tax cut there, and a lot of it's been, you know, COVID mitigation and dealing with COVID on a day-to-day basis. So that's really been a challenge, but I'm excited to move forward on projects like the Nistler and the Alaris Center naming rights. So we're we're going to hit the ground running, and things are starting to ease up a little bit, and I can start to move forward with my agenda rather than playing catch up with a few other things.
All right. So let's talk about leadership and personal leadership philosophies. You're both stepping into pretty big jobs that have intense scrutiny with enormous expectations from all of our constituencies. So Andy, let's start with you. What's your favorite personal philosophy on leadership that has helped guide your career?
Well, that's a great question. And having spent 30 years on active duty in the Air Force, of course, I've been exposed to a lot of different leadership styles and leadership approaches. And there's lots of books written about leadership, the 5 effective approaches to leadership, the 200 approaches to leadership. There's just a lot of people who pontificate about this. I think what I've observed is having a vision, being able to communicate, and being able to pull a team together are some of the most important factors. But there's one that stands out above all of them, and this is one that doesn't sound very military, but it's important and near and dear to me, and that is the philosophy of loving your people. And this is about caring for them, taking care of their needs. It's about helping them grow and to become, and at a university, helping our students to grow into the future leaders that they need to become. And so with that comes a sense of humility and an openness that is really required to really lead them with this sense of care and this sense of love. And so there's a lot of elements to it, but it's a simple tagline that I think I've tried to adopt and demonstrate throughout my career. And Brandon, what about you? I mean, you certainly have some great leadership philosophies as well.
Well, geez, after a 30-year military career, I was probably hoping you had more advice for me, but oh well. I think we probably are on the same page there with leadership. It's not generally something that you're going to read in a book. I think you have to find it out there in an environment of stress, and when you're put under stress, and how you handle yourself. I always joke, my staff tells me before I have a big press conference or a big interview, they always say, don't suck. There's a lot of people counting on you. So I always kind of loosens me up. But my philosophy has always been lead from the front. Always be willing to never make anybody else do something that you're not willing to do yourself, and always be willing to get your hands dirty, and allowing people to climb on your back, carrying your lunch pail and your work boots, and just leading in a way that others want to follow you.
Well, you have been leading from the front, and I know we've all seen you in very public settings and really putting your heart and soul into your new position, so congratulations.
All right. Mayor Bochenski, you showed that you value education by returning after a few years away. Would you share why that was important to you?
Well, I think when I grew up kind of with meager beginnings, I was the first person in my family to get a 4-year college degree, even though it happened at 37 years of age. But like I said, growing up like that, there was, things could always have been taken away from you kind of at any time, where you had to move, into your grandparents' house, or you had to move around. But education was never anything that someone could take away, and that was instilled in me at an early age, and I want to instill it in my children too. So I came back and I wanted to get that degree and show the value of that to my own children. And there was no better place than UND to do it. They had a little name change. I didn't quite get to graduate a Fighting Sioux, but I'll take it. I'll graduate as a Fighting Hawk and be just as happy.
Well, we have a lot of students that are transfer students who decide to return after being away for a while. Do you have any advice for them?
I think that you got to go with your heart. I mean, you're going to have a calling to come back here. If you do, I think you go out in the world and you always think the grass is greener on the other side. I spent a lot of time traveling the world and seeing a lot of different places and universities, and the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's as green as it's going to get right here. I guess that's my opinion.
Excellent. All right, so before we wrap up this segment, if I'd mentioned that President Armacost and Mayor Bochenski both have something in common, I would tell you all that they are both NCAA Division I's former student athletes. So President Armacost, how did your athletic experience shape the person that you are today?
It's interesting that you would compare me to a professional hockey player. My illustrious NCAA Division I experience was limited to about 3 months. So growing up, I was a baseball player and ended up competing well at the high school level. My arm went bad, and when the catcher would throw it back to the mound faster than I could pitch it in college, I knew my time was better spent in the classroom. But through those experiences, I think sports in general focuses on a sense of teamwork, a sense of collaboration, and probably most importantly, developed an impeccable sense of hard work, that by focusing on drive and effort, you can accomplish a lot. And that translates nicely into just about everything in life, whether it's academic success or whether it's success as a leader. Hard work is really the lesson that I took from the baseball field, basketball courts, from wherever I ended up playing sports. So, so that's probably the top lesson.
Excellent. All right. So I think we're all curious about your experiences as a student athlete, Brandon, and then later as a professional. How did that experience influence your current business and civic leadership role?
Well, in all fairness, I wasn't a very good baseball player, and I messed up my shoulder when I was young and couldn't throw a ball worth a darn. So in all fairness, we'll give it back to President Armacost for his baseball skills there. But it's all about teamwork. I think it was instilled in me at a very young age, coming from a family of 7 children. I mean, it took teamwork to get a meal done, to go anywhere. So it started there, and then just through various sports, you just constantly were, around a team and a group of guys, and you just got used to that dynamic. And as a leader in a team environment, you have to be willing to, when there's a win, you share with everyone. When there's a loss, you figure out what you could have done better, and you look in the mirror. And that was instilled in me as a family member of a family of 9 when I was young, and it's carried me right through till today, leading a staff at City Hall.
Thank you. All right, thanks to you both. In our next segment, we'll talk about how the university and city are working together. But first, we want to acknowledge the sponsors who made this event possible. Some of them received a special visitor earlier this month. Since we couldn't gather together for breakfast, our visitor delivered breakfast to a few of our sponsors.
Better.
The town and gown relationship between UND and the city has benefited our communities and our businesses. This unique association has the potential to expand, especially with our 2 new faces and new places. So let's begin this conversation about talking about the Nistler College of Business and Public Administration. Andy, can you tell us about this partnership?
Well, the Nistler College of Business and Public Administration represents a significant effort for the university in the following sense. It has combined support from private philanthropy, and the lead donors, Warner and Colleen Nistler, really made this happen with a generous $20 million donation. And then at the same time, other donors chipped in, and some significantly, to an additional $30 million. As a consequence of that, the state added matching funds to bring the total fundraising effort up to about $70 million to make this project happen. And this project is not about the building itself. It's about what I like to call the magic that will happen within the building. And if you can build a modern space that creates programs that really benefit our students in those programs, you have truly real magic that happens. And the final gift, or the final investment that came in this project, was in the form of a generous offer from the city of Grand Forks. And it was the capstone gift that put us over that threshold that allowed us to get the extra state matching funds. And so it's, I think, a tremendous partnership going forward about the collaboration between the university and the city of Grand Forks.
Well, Brandon, we appreciate the city's commitment to funding workforce development at the Nistler College. What's your vision for the Nistler College as a centerpiece for business and workforce development, both locally as well as regionally?
Well, I think first of all, it bridges the gap. We've always tried in the city, I think, to bring, to spread out UND's footprint, whether it's downtown or other parts of the city. But in this case, the city is coming to campus, and it's got a workforce development center in one of the, I might be a little bit biased, but one of the finest business schools, what's going to be one of the finest business schools in the whole nation. On an economic development side, you have great opportunities for job development and progression in your career, so you can increase your education and strive for higher wages. Not just a place for city interns and city staff, but the community as a whole. So it's very exciting, and I can't wait to see what's unlocked economically by having such a great asset in this community. And Dr. President General Armacost, I never know which one to say, or can we just call you Andy? What do you have to say? How can the city's relationship through the Nistler with the university help?
Well, I think for the citizens of Grand Forks, knowing that this investment is an important one, and often when you invest, you wonder what the return is. And so let me talk about 3 elements of return that I think will come, some immediately and some over the long term, to the citizens. The first is when you have a public works project like this, a $70 million building project. That's money in the hands of the tradespeople and the folks who are working on this project. And so it's been estimated that close to $30 million of direct salary and wages will go to citizens of this area. And then when that money gets respent, it generates between $60 and $80 million coming into the economy. So that's in the immediate near term as the building is actually being constructed. The second piece is when you attract students, right? So you have a named world-class institution, right? When you put a name on a business school, it attracts more students. And when those students come to town, I know the EDC had put together an estimate of how much each student brings to the economy, and it's upwards of $30,000 per student. So we know that the more students we attract through this named facility, the better it is for the economy of Grand Forks. And then in the long term, when you have opportunities to create essentially a connection or a marriage between individual students graduating from the program and the city of Grand Forks and the region, you just have additional magic that happens where you're now placing these great graduates into key positions here in Grand Forks. So the benefit locally is truly tremendous. And what do you think we can do, Brandon, to further strengthen the relationship between the university and the city?
Well, first of all, that was really well said, so I appreciate that. I think we need to just keep doing what we're doing. I think we've had a very good relationship since you've been here. We have the benefit of both having came in at the same time. And I think a sense of pride, if we have a sense of pride that the university can share for the city and a sense of pride that the city can share for the university, that can do great things. Otherwise, just keep fostering our future leaders and innovators of the community. On top of that, a few more hockey championships probably wouldn't hurt either. How about you? What can the community benefit from the university's presence?
Well, certainly there's things like direct patronage, right? When our students, faculty, and staff decide to use the services and the businesses that are in the city, I think it's a great thing. In addition, I think there are tremendous opportunities for our students to become interns, whether it's in city government or in local businesses as well. And then in the long term, and maybe there's a chance for me to speak later in the session about this, there's the opportunity for the university to become kind of an economic engine for the city and for the region. And when you think about all the great research that happens on our campus, is there a way to parlay that into something meaningful? And we see that with our autonomous systems, our unmanned aircraft, that it represents a huge business opportunity, both again for the city, for the region, and for the state. So huge opportunities.
There's no doubt it's an economic engine in this community, and it's hopefully we can only make that better with these connections. I think that's great to hear.
Right, and you and I, of course, just participated in a ribbon cutting of a new facility. Mobile Recon Systems opened up their facility out in the kind of the southwest portion of the city, and it was great to be out there. And what really struck me were the other businesses who came out to support them, right? And it was really just a tremendous opportunity to welcome folks coming from Kentucky to our great state and our great city.
We had some amazing weather that day too, so hopefully we hooked them and they left before the cold weather sets in. That's for sure.
So, President Armacost, UND continues to innovate in opioid prevention, telehealth, and the delivery of behavioral health care across the great state of North Dakota. This effort has been done through partnerships. Can you tell us about some of these pioneering efforts?
Well, certainly. With a state like North Dakota and the delivery of healthcare to rural sections of the state can be difficult. And so UND has been pioneering telehealth and telemental health opportunities. And we have a great team led by Professor Thomasine Heidkamp. And she's partnered with Meredy Sjogren, Andrew McLean, and Stephen Wunderlich, and also folks from Sanford Health, one of our sponsors today. And they're launching a new program to make those systems more robust, to figure out how we can better deliver remote telehealth, in particular with respect to addiction and opioids, to the entire state of North Dakota. So it's really something I think North Dakota can pioneer, but it doesn't just apply to our state. That's the exciting thing. I think it applies to many communities, whether it's rural Arkansas or somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. I think this type of program can really have national benefit as well.
I agree, definitely. All right, in this next segment, we're going to answer your questions and discuss the ongoing plans to deal with the COVID pandemic. But first, our Fighting Hawk will visit a few more sponsors to brighten their morning. Welcome back. Andy, I think you have something you wanted to do?
I do, in fact. And Mayor, I know you've worn lots of jerseys around these parts, and they all have your last name on them, but none of them have your new title, I believe. So on behalf of Melanie and myself and the entire faculty, staff, and students at UND, we have a little gift for you. But I'm going to maintain 6-foot social distancing. And in a nod to Mean Joe Green and the Steelers Coke commercial back in the day, we have this great jersey for you, this great University of North Dakota, and on the back, we have Mayor Bo, and with the number 20, because this is the year that you took your mayorship, and this is for you. Hey kid, catch.
Oh, geez, I feel like I'm getting drafted again. Like it's all, like this happened, 20 years ago. I had to hold this thing up and I got drafted in 2000. That's pretty cool. No, I appreciate that. Now I feel giftless. You never go somewhere without a gift, but I'll have to swing back around, and bring something to you. But no, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool. Thank
Love
you.
it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Earlier, Chamber members had an opportunity to submit questions for Andy and Brandon, and we'll get to those in just a little bit. But first, we want to talk about the COVID pandemic and how it's affecting our community. For the past several weeks, UND, along with our institutional partners, which include the city, have been reinforcing the idea that we must stay apart to stay together for a safe September. Brandon, I want to commend you and your staff at City Hall for supporting this effort to keep our schools and businesses open during the pandemic. Can you talk about how things have gone from your perspective and what more the city and the university and our other institutional partners can do to sustain the momentum, curb the spread, and keep Grand Forks open?
I think our collaborative singular message that we've kind of built out of the institutional partners, which includes obviously UND, the public schools, the city, public health, all true, the county, and Air Force Base. Hopefully I'm not missing anybody there, but us having a singular message has been great. If you look at this, the plan that we had 2 months ago, we've all sit on all those calls and meeting weekly, sometimes more. The plan was to test, trace, and isolate, and when we saw the spike when college students came back, I think there was probably a lot of panic in the community, but the people in those institutional partners meetings were very calm, and we expected that, and we did things the right way, and really became a model for the whole state. And now a lot of people are coming to us asking how we did it, and a lot of that, largely is on the university for their ability to isolate and quarantine people quickly and effectively. So that's been great. Things can change tomorrow, but we've fought back against our first real big spike, and we'll continue to meet and have that singular message. So it's quite a challenge, but we're doing things the best we can, and it's not going to be perfect, but a lot of really good, really smart people are leading on this, and I've been very proud of our community so far.
So Andy, how are things going from your perspective?
I think very well. As the mayor just pointed out, the partnership between this group, the county, the city, the Air Force Base, the university, and I think probably most importantly is the support we've gotten from All True Health and Dr. Steve Weiser and Dave Molman. They've been absolutely extraordinary in terms of giving us kind of the medical systems perspective on how we should respond. I think one of the key advantages of coming together as the city has is that when we have requests of the state, we can have a unified voice, not just to the citizens of Grand Forks, but to the leaders at the state level, whether it's the State Department of Health or the governor himself. And as a consequence, they've responded. So the state has been extraordinary in terms of their support for testing, for contact tracing support. They've just done remarkable work on our behalf. But it's because of the partnership that the mayor has created that has really allowed us to argue for and receive the benefits of state support. So I think it's been a tremendous partnership. As we've seen over the summer, initially in the summer we had a spike that peaked around 30 and we tamped it down. That was a good warm-up for the peak that we saw on campus anyway, and across the city in late August, where on campus we had over 330 active cases. And so it takes a unified approach, and we debate and we discuss and we figure out, we offer opinions, and everybody, the opinions in the room are freely shared. And at some point, the mayor and the city council make the absolute best decisions that they feel are in the best interests of the city and the citizens of Grand Forks.
I think from 330 down to where are you guys at today for active cases?
Oh gosh, it was under 40 yesterday morning. So,
so coming up close to 10% of where the peak was.
10%
I think
of where the peak was.
That's amazing, because a lot of people were looking at that uncontrolled community spread fear, and it didn't quite play out at least yet in that fashion. So
the tough part is we can laud ourselves on the mechanics of how we executed this, but this is a business that involves human beings, right? And we have to make sure that the emotional and mental health, the behavioral health pieces are in place to support people who are sometimes placed in hotel rooms for 2 weeks at a time. And so we'll continue during this downtime, we'll call it downtime, to continue focusing on how do we make our systems more robust to make sure people are getting all the support that they need when they're going through this tough time.
Yeah.
And I think we need to have a focus on testing too. I think the testing, we need to keep doing that. We need to keep people need to keep going and getting tested. I think that's an important part of it, especially if you have symptoms. Even if you don't and you've been exposed, we want to keep those testing numbers up. Those are helping us slow the spread by isolating the.
So I think collectively, the mayor and I are urging everyone, both on campus and in the city of Grand Forks, if you haven't been tested yet, it's free, it's painless. Please go do it.
The price is right.
The price is right,
there
exactly. When do you get free health care, right?
Exactly.
There's no co-payment required.
Yeah.
Just takes a couple seconds. I don't know about the two of you, but one of the things that I've enjoyed most in the last couple of weeks is watching the videos that the Grand Forks School District students, the UND students, and other members of our community members have made to say, please let's practice safe behaviors so that we can stay open.
Right, I think that kind of support from the grassroots is so important to say, hey, let's all do this together. And there's a bit of I'm sure this is one giant sociological experiment, right? How do you get a group to take the actions that you want them to, and to do so voluntarily? And so this is where the support and the modeling, the role modeling, and the mayor, when you're out and about, you're wearing face masks, right? And I think it sends an important signal. When I'm out, I wear a face mask, and it sends a signal that these are the right expected behaviors.
Yeah, the COVID fatigue is going to, is a serious issue too, and I think, people have to know that this isn't forever. This is not going to be forever, but it's a short period where we, have some invasion of privacy. But now we've got the Safe September is going to be closing to an end, so I'm excited to hear what the October
we're working on
phrase is gonna be.
October. More to come.
Masktober?
Ooh, maybe.
Maybe.
You heard it here first.
All right, let's switch and have a little bit of fun and have people get to know you both a little bit better on a personal level. So let's start with, do either of you have any hidden talents? And Andy, I'm going to pick on you first. Do you
Oh
have
gosh,
any hidden talents?
put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Lots of hidden talents, I suppose. The one that most people don't know about is I'm a juggler. And there is, many people have picked up 3 tennis balls or 3 hockey pucks and tried to juggle them. But I did it, I'll say, quasi-professionally. So we used to get paid to do birthday parties, bat mitzvahs, a whole bunch of, we never did weddings, but it was a group event. And we juggled everything from, this is where it gets serious, machetes, torches, baseball bats, bowling balls, cigar boxes. We did the whole shtick, and it was a group effort. So we had formations where you would have 5 people on stage passing clubs over top of unsuspecting guests. It was absolutely incredible. So, so this was a rare talent. Not, well, I don't know if it's rare. That sounds a little bold, but it was something that we did for fun. It was a way to build a sense of teamwork. It's not what you typically expect yourself to be doing when you're in high school, but nonetheless, it was a challenge and it was a lot of fun.
Brandon?
I don't know how to go after that. I was wondering if I get a hold of his booking agent. I've got a few kids' birthdays coming up. I don't know what the price is.
I'm in, sign me up.
Yeah. As far as my hidden talents, I don't know, that's a tough one. I would say that I have an amazing ability when I'm playing sports with my kids to keep the score really close, whether it's hockey, baseball, football, keep it really close to the very end and just barely pull it out. So that way the kids stay engaged the whole time. They love to play, but they still know that daddy's the best. So if there ever was a hidden talent, hopefully the kids aren't watching because I've managed to hide it from them so far. But if they find out, this might be a tough conversation when I get home tonight.
Any favorite kids' games?
Well, hockey, obviously. We play mini hockey in the basement all the time. We pretty well destroyed the basement. But the wife, she'll get over it because the kids usually sleep well those nights.
Do you happen to play ping pong?
No, sparingly, let's just say, over the years. So I'm not ready to challenge. I heard that despite being a juggler, and maybe it's the hand skills, but I heard that you had some amazing record, possibly 22-0. Is that against her? Yeah, who was that against?
So back at the Air Force Academy, I had gotten this nice ping pong table, and my students, my cadets, frequently challenged me, and I'm undefeated against 22 separate students or cadets from the Air Force Academy. So we'll have to see what the UND students can bring. I'm all for a game of ping pong, and Mayor, maybe someday.
Sounds good. I don't know if the sample size is big enough at 22, because actually, I don't want to bring this up, but I'm undefeated at curling as well. I've only done it once, but we won. So 1-0.
Curling is hard. I mean, throwing the stone.
Oh, you're all over the place. It's really difficult. There's some extracurricular activities involved with curling as well that don't make it any easier. But maybe I need to put some skates on when I'm out there or something. I don't know.
Now, did I hear right? You challenged somebody to be slimed yesterday?
That's correct. I got slimed on, what was it? Well, was it yesterday? Geez, the time the time continuum here is tough. But yeah, I got slimed yesterday, and as part of that, I don't know if you saw online, I've nominated President Armacost. It seems to be kind of like the ice bucket challenge thing, but it's slime, and it's warm, and it's gross, and it ruins your day. But
I responded to your challenge online as well.
Oh, great.
And say a few words about who this is for.
Oh, this is for the United Way. They've done a great job with outreach, really looking at kids programs, what they can do to help out the community and help out kids. So I'm definitely willing to be slimed, and far worse than that, to help out the United Way and kids in this community. So
nice.
It was great. I don't have any advice for you other than just have some towels ready and be prepared to shower in the near future afterwards.
I love it. And I suppose that if you challenged me, then I have to challenge someone as well. Is that how this works?
I think so. I think it's like the ice bucket challenge. We're figuring out the semantics on that, but I think so.
There are 3 of us on stage. 2 of us will have been slimed.
Yes, that's true.
That leaves one option.
I'd have to imagine that Melanie spends a lot more time in her hair than me or you, so this might be a little bit more, and much finer clothes probably too.
Well, that's a perfect segue to wrap things up. That wraps our first virtual Wake Up to UND. Thank you all for joining us today. And next year, we hope that we can host this event in person in our new Memorial Student Union. And we'll have an opportunity to see one of our new places here at UND that will enhance our community as well as the university. Until then, here's our Fighting Hawk with a final message of appreciation.